Amani Toomer joins us now as we talk a little bit more about this Week 8 coming up. Rivalry, Eagles, Cowboys look inside the NFC. Got the Giants on the bye week coming off the London game. Washington's in London this week. And a lot of NFL storylines with NBC Sports Radio's Amani Toomer here on the Sports Bash. Amani, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How about you guys?
We're doing well, man, and we're about halfway through here. We get through this grind, and just kind of, if you could, a little overview of this NFC East, which is much improved from last year, as we kind of head into that halfway point of the season.
Yeah, you look at the NFC East, and everybody talks about how bad they are, but every team has at least 4 wins. What other conference can say that? I think if you look at the wins, I think the NFC East has the most wins of any conference in the NFL. So it's very competitive. Maybe they had a favorable schedule because a lot of them have played the NFC North in terms of with the Chicago Bears. Which that is a gimme win because they're terrible. But I think that it's going to come down to the wire like it always does. You got very storied and competitive organizations going up against each other, and they've all improved during the offseason, some in different ways, and it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing shakes out towards the end of the year, and I can't wait.
Hey, you played in a lot of these rivalry NFC East games, Giants, Cowboys, Giants, Redskins, Giants, Eagles. You got Eagles, Cowboys on Sunday night. Take us through that week of preparation for a player when there is that division, especially a Sunday night game, which gets you a little out of your routine.
Hey, I really didn't like Sunday night games. I like the fact that they were on national TV and everybody's eyes were on it. But the fact that you have to sit around the hotel all day. I mean, you wake up, and they keep getting you up to try and keep you from feeling sluggish during that night. So they keep getting you up. They get you up early at 8 o'clock in the morning. You eat breakfast, then you go back to your hotel room. Then every couple hours you got a meeting here, and then there's just a whole lot of waiting around, and that's not ordinarily what the football schedule is like. Usually you get up, eat breakfast, and head to the stadium, and that's what you're normally used to, and anything out of your routine is not great. But anytime you play in the NFC, it's personal. You see these guys twice a year. When your team is in the draft war room, you have the other 3 rosters in your division in mind. Okay, who are we going to go up against Odell Beckham Jr.? Who do we got to compact the offensive line of the Cowboys? It's all, so every time you match up with somebody in your division, you have the best matchup that you're going to have, and it's going to be the most competitive game because of that.
All right, Amani Toomer, NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 live sports talk network. You can listen to online at NBCSportsRadio.com. Download their mobile app, NBC Sports Radio, today. Amani, you look at Philadelphia coming off that big win over the Vikings where, a lot of people thought that Minnesota was in the conversation for maybe best team in the league. They lose 2 games the week before, or 2 weeks previous, by kind of being sloppy, penalty-ridden, poor defensively. It is a week-to-week league, but what is your read on the Eagles now as they head into this Dallas game?
Well, I mean, they're a team that's very dangerous. I think what you're seeing is now people have a kind of a book on how to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they got off to a roaring start, and they've kind of come back to the pack a little bit. But it was a huge win, versus the Vikings. When you have a team like that at home, you have to win. I mean, our coach used to always say, win all your home games and half your road games, and you'll have a number 1 seed. I'll give you 12 wins. I'll give you a number 1 seed more often than not, more years than not, in the NFC. So they've done that. They got to hold serve. Maybe you lose a home game. You got to make that one up on the road. But that's kind of the formula. They've played well. I mean, their defensive line, with Cox, has really showed his dominance this past weekend, and that's kind of how the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to win in these football games. Their defensive line is one of their strengths. They're going to have to use that, and I'm really impressed with the way Carson Wentz has been playing. I'm one of the last people on the Carson Wentz bandwagon because I never want to give quarterbacks too much credit because I think they get too much credit as is. So when I saw him a couple of times watching film on him, some of the throws that he's made, some of the small windows, the anticipation that he has, it's uncanny for a quarterback that young to be doing those types of things.
Amani Toomer's with us, and I remember you kind of delaying your ticket to the Wentz wagon, but welcome aboard. Even though he has struggled a little bit, you can see some of the things that will potentially down the line. What I want to ask you as a former wide receiver, how important that position is. Doug Peterson said earlier during his press conference today that he's thrilled with his guys. They're not looking to make trades. Their name has been connected to a couple of wide receivers, Torrey Smith, Alshon Jeffrey. Would you pull the trigger if you're Howie Roseman to add a receiver, or did they have enough at the receiver position?
I think they need to pull the trigger. I haven't been impressed with Nelson Aguilar. I like Matthews, but they have. You've got to help out a young player, and that's why Eli was successful, because he had Plexco, he had me, he had Jeremy Shockey. We had a lot of good players around him that if the ball wasn't 100% perfect, we could make plays for him. And I think to help a young rookie get over the top. I mean, you look at Dak Prescott down in Dallas. He has players around him to where he'll throw the ball up, and Beasley will make a great play, or Williams will make a great play, and that's kind of the thing you need to have. And when you're having a quarterback trying to put it all on his back as such a young player, I mean, even Andrew Luck had, he had some great players around him when he was early on in his career. So, football's very much a team game. And I'm going to try and have as many good players around, because that just takes a lot of the weight and the pressure off of Carson Wentz. And Philadelphia is not an easy city to play in.
No, you don't say, right? Now they're going to go down to Dallas this week for the third time in the last 4 weeks. They played at Washington. They'll be at Dallas. They're going to be at the Giants next week. So 3 games inside the NFC East, all on the road. This is a tough task for Philadelphia, but they're 5-2 down there at Jerry's World here. But let me ask you, you see Philadelphia going on the road. They played 4 out of 5 on the road, 3 in the division. Are you a believer in this Cowboys team at 5-1? They've got the rookie running back. They've got the rookie receiver. A lot of times that's a recipe for, well, I need to see more. So have you seen enough?
I've seen a lot with Dak Prescott. I mean, and the guy leading the league, and Ezekiel Elliott in rushing, he's doing a great job. But I don't know if it's all Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, Dak Prescott makes you play 11-on-11 football because of the fact that he has that zone read, and you have to defend him for the run every snap. So that helps, because usually the quarterback to me is like a useless position. Usually if you hand the ball off, you just sit there and watch. And that gives the defense that advantage, that extra man that's supposed to be blocked by the ball carrier and the man that's supposed to be blocked by, the quarterback handing the ball off. So they got a 2-man advantage on defense. So when I see a guy, when there's a quarterback that can run the football, it just makes it that much more difficult schematically, just pure numbers wise, for the defense to really attack that offensive run game. And plus you couple that with one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League, and an exceptional back in Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, that's all a recipe for success. And I think he's running into that same situation that Emmitt Smith runs at it throughout most of his career. People are asking, was he really that good, or was his offensive line just that dominant? Right. But I mean, that's a good problem to have if you're having the same type of problems that questions being asked, not problems, that you have in the all-time leading rusher.
No doubt. We'll leave you with this. Amani Toomer with us, NBC Sports Radio. And, Amani, the Giants, we thought this would be a good offense. They spent all that money on defense. What is wrong with your Giants offense?
The offensive line is the problem. And they don't have a dynamic playmaker in the backfield. And both of those things coupled together, you can have the best receivers you want, you can have the best quarterback you want. If he doesn't have time and you don't have a solid running game to boot, or you don't have a tight end that can effectively cut off the middle, exploit the middle of the field when you have 2 deep coverage, you're going to be in trouble. And I think the only reason why they've had success in the last couple of weeks is because teams have dared them to throw the ball for some reason, when I would be daring the Giants to run the football. I would say cover 2 defense, put that extra safety on the half of the field, and make the Giants consistently run the football or make that tight end position and Larry Donnell beat you down the field consistently, because he can't do it and the Giants can't run the football. I mean, there's a recipe to beat them, and that's what the teams in weeks before, in the 3-game losing streak they had, that's all they did. They just played 2-deep defense and made them dink and dunk, and they can't consistently, without penalties or mistakes or fumbles, they can't consistently move the ball down the field. And the only way the Giants can win is if it's a short field or they try to man up the receivers.
Eagles-Giants next week, Eagles-Cowboys this week. NBC has it on Sunday night. NBC Sports Radio, Amani Toomer, 24/7. Download the app, NBC Sports Radio. Amani, good to have you back from London, pal. It's good to talk to you again.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to be back.